Good morning. The Jefferson County Post is here today with Director of Schools Dr. Tom Arnold and School Board Member Doug Ibbetson, who has just been elected for another term. And we are going to discuss some updates for the summer, where we're sitting, what it's looking like right now in the school system. But before we get started, I want to thank our sponsors, Dr. Warren Stinson, 113 East Broadway in Jefferson City for all your dental needs, and Good Old Boys Golf Carts at Highway 92, Dandridge. And they also have a location in Sevierville, so go out for all your golf cart needs. So welcome, gentlemen. Thank you very much for sitting down with me. I know it's summer, and actually, for those who don't know, this is starting your busy season.
Very
So, principals are back in schools, correct?
Some of them, most of them are back. We have several principals that have moved to 260-day employees working year-round with summer school that goes on. Right. A lot of our building needs that happen, so hiring needs, especially at the high school or administrators, a 260-day employee.
Right, so parents who are looking for information. There's a month in the school system that's if you can ever call a month in the school system a down month. It is more difficult on a building level to find somebody there because that's the time that people take their vacations and they do different things. And even though a lot of principals are working, they're in and out of the schools doing different things. And so now is a time when probably you're going to be able to find somebody around.
I think, yes, especially July the 21st is a lot of our office staff starts coming back in. And so we're about 2 weeks away from that. And but definitely right now, email's about the best way for the next 2 weeks.
All right, sounds great. So fireworks have just gone off everywhere. We've just celebrated the 4th of July, and yet we are running toward the first day of school.
Yes.
And teachers, I know, are out there sweating because they're counting down the days. Vacation is just about over. I saw a meme on Facebook that said, July the 5th, every teacher wakes up and goes, well, I've got to start thinking now. Yep. It's time. So this is a busy summer in the schools, though. Congratulations, by the way. School Board Doug Ibbetson has just been, as I said, reelected.
Well, I've been nominated.
You've been but you're unopposed.
Well, pretty much, yeah. Yes. But technically, I'm not elected yet. I've been nominated. Hopefully, I'll be elected.
Right. There's no write-in votes, and there's 2 slots, so I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But you are the returning out of the 4 seats that were up for election. You are the only returning school board member out of those 4 seats. So you have 3 new school board members coming with you.
Yep.
So the complexion of the school board is going to be very different starting in September.
It will be.
You all are sworn in September the 1st, correct? I believe it's September. Maybe not. I think the county offices are September 1st.
Yeah, something like that.
So
yes.
What has been going on this summer? Other than elections, tell us about that, because this has been a building summer. This has been a building summer in 2 locations. That's all right, just 2 locations.
What I've been doing is I've been trying to keep folks updated on Facebook.
Right.
You know, I call it our construction summer because we probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Arnold, we probably have more capital improvements, capital building going on this summer that we approved funding for in the prior school board, session than we've had at one time any summers, at least that I can remember. I mean, we've got just to kind of give a rundown, we've got our addition going on up at Talbot that is coming along really well. 4 classrooms, a new bathroom, and then we've got we're redoing the gym floor at the gymnasium and one of the existing bathrooms up there, going along really well, along with all of the, paving and everything else we have to do for that. Moving over to Maury, we have new field lighting going on over there for the athletic field that we've needed for quite some time. The old lights are down. We're waiting for, and we're putting new light stanchions there, new lights over there. Jeff Middle, We're doing a complete renovation of the HVAC system up there to the tune of about $4.5 million. That's not going to be done by the end of the season. That'll be done probably, close to the end of the calendar year, but it's started, it's going on up there. We've got the remediation going on at Jefferson Elementary, taking all the asbestos out so we can get ready to start the new renovation there. We've got the ag building that is up and is pretty much putting the finishing touches on over at the high school. We've had a lot of renovations being done at the football stadium over at the high school. Caulking things, painting things that really looks good. And then we've got some programs that have been funded that we're waiting to do. We've got, we're going to do some renovations up at the baseball stadium at the high school. We've got bleachers, gym bleachers at Maury. They're going to be going in that were put on back order. It's very difficult, I guess, these days to get bleachers. They're just, for some reason, bleachers are in demand and they're back ordered, but as soon as they get here, we'll put them in. And then we've got some monies, allocated and ready to do some work over at Roy Strong. So, I mean, there's a lot going on right now. Probably more than I can remember at any one given time. But things needed to be done. We allocated the money for them, and they're getting done.
It's kind of an ongoing process, right? I mean, you're talking about, I don't know how many school buildings. What do you have, like 9? How many?
About 11 buildings.
About 11 buildings. So keeping up 11 buildings is a chore.
It's around 1.2 million square feet of space, and that's not counting the exterior grounds and what all happens there, from storm-related tree damage to at the high school, 7 feet underground. We had a main water line blowout over the summer. So those unexpected things happen. But like Mr. Ibbetson said, a lot of projects going on. Our maintenance supervisor, Mr. Bridgewater's slammed right now with checking on those projects, getting them, making sure they're going well, and then, also keeping up with HVAC needs and school needs. We had around 20 days of summer school where we had hundreds of students in our buildings and serving them meals every day, and needing to keep those buildings up and maintained during the summer was a key also while we're doing the other projects.
Yeah, I think that's a common misconception, is people think that when school goes out for the summer that school is actually out, and school is rarely out. There is something going on all the time, and much of it involves students.
It does.
So let's make this clear to the public. So when Talbot Elementary School students walk into school in August, is everything going to be finished? Is there still going to be ongoing projects? This is a, for lack of a better term, it's just like doing something in your house. It's a big deal. Mm-hmm. Once you start doing renovations, it's time consuming. There's always something that comes up that you didn't expect to come up. There's, So what's it going to look like at Talbot?
Everything's going to be complete with the exception of one classroom where an HVAC unit was damaged during delivery. And that classroom is going to be not usable till probably after Labor Day, till we can get that unit shipped back in and set in place. But other than that, you can go on our school board page on the web page, and under capital projects see updated pictures, floorings going down, and
I looked at the floor is beautiful.
It is. It really looks good, and you're going to see that complete,
right?
Usable.
So Talbot's looking good for the start of school. Mm-hmm. Now, there's some misconceptions out in the public that, for some reason, they think that Jefferson Elementary School is going to look finished or partially finished. They want to know, why is it not getting... So let's talk a little bit about this process. We've talked about this before, but we have to remind people that this is not a sprint. This is a cross-country race that you're going on
Yes.
with in Jefferson Elementary School. So what are they going to see when they walk in?
Well, let me kind of, I'll turn that over to Tommy as far as what it's going to look like. You know, it's a phased project. You know, you figure Jefferson Elementary is about 80,000 square foot, all right? And it's made up of a bunch of different wings, all right? And when we, as a school board, decided on the renovation option, all right, we said, well, you know, we can't do some this summer and then let it lag until the next summer. It would take 10, 15 years to get everything done.
Right.
So what we did is we put together a program with Dr. Arnold and with the architect, you know, to do it in a phased thing where we could still keep the kids in school without using temporaries. You know, we want as little disruption as possible. And the first thing that has to be done, obviously, because it was built in 1958, I believe, something like that.
Sounds
I think about 1958 is obviously, you know, lead-based paint, asbestos, and things like that is in every old building. That was just the way you build it. And as long as it remained undisturbed, you know, it really was not a major problem, and we have air samples to show that. However, before you can get construction in there, construction people, you've got to get that out.
Right.
So that's what's happening right now. We're doing the abatement for that. It's going on schedule. And once that's done, then people can get in there and we can actually start the renovation, wing by wing by wing. So no, it's not going to be done by it'll be underway, but it probably, what are we thinking, 2.5 years from the time we actually start? Something like that. But during that time, the kids will be in school. It'll be safe because all that asbestos will be out of there. And it'll be like Piedmont. You know, they went to school while the Piedmont school was being renovated. It came out to be a beautiful school. You know, we'll have to make certain accommodations, but it'll get done and it'll be beautiful when it's done.
But do not expect to walk in and see.
No, you're not going to see finished floors. So whenever we take up that asbestos tile, there's a product that goes on underneath the tile that emulsifies the glue and removes all of that down to bare concrete. But, you know, it's still 70-year-old concrete.
Right.
So there's going to be some small cracks. But that concrete floor is moppable. They'll come in there with the auto scrubber and mops and clean it just like they did the tile floor. But it will be a look of a concrete floor for a period of time.
So in other words, it's going to look worse before it gets better, and everybody just has to prepare themselves for that. It's safe. It's perfectly fine. Mm-hmm. It's just not pretty right now.
Right.
And we're working toward pretty, but pretty takes a little while.
That's right.
So it's just like in your own home when you're doing renovations. It gets worse before it gets better as far as aesthetically.
Yep.
But
Right.
safety-wise, there is no problem whatsoever.
No problem there. The great thing about during Piedmont, we were down to only 3 classrooms at a time that we could renovate, and students and staff were really close to the renovation going on. Sometimes they were, going by a classroom that was being renovated. The good thing about Jefferson is there's a little more space. Right. We'll be able to shut down a whole wing of 8 classrooms, be able to gut those and renovate those as we proceed along the way, and that'll be a much safer environment.
Okay, so that is what you're looking at in those schools, and then in your other schools where you have projects going on. Will most of those projects be finished by the time school starts, or are these ongoing, where you might see a little work going on when you're... Definitely
going to see a little work going on with our bleacher projects. Will be late fall, HVAC at Jeff Middle. That always takes 2 seasons to get it just right, so we have to go through a cooling and a heating cycle to make sure everything's dialed in and working. The thing about our HVAC replacement is, in the past, it was just kind of almost like your home. You could set it to 55 or 85. And now we're able to control that set point so that somebody doesn't leave a unit set too low or too high. And it definitely helps us to conserve energy, save money. And we want to spend our dollars on our students and not pay our electric companies.
What you don't have to pay.
Yeah.
Keep it comfortable, but
Sure.
but as cost effective as possible.
Right. I would say the projects that should be done by the time students go back would be Talbot, the Ag Building, and hopefully the lighting at Maury. And that will depend very much on delivery of the new steel poles and the lighting. But those are the three that we're anticipating will be done and ready to go by the time the kids get back.
And that's fantastic for Maury particularly because football season is
Yeah.
going to start. And I know that those kids for many years had to play their football games in the daylight.
That's
and that's a little warmer hours.
Yeah.
So it should be a little more comfortable when they're
Well, we were actually told, I think, and Dr. Arnold, you can correct me on this if I'm wrong, we were actually told by some of the league referees and umpires that if you don't do something about this field, we're not going to allow you to have any more because it's unsafe.
Okay.
You know, so we obviously our main concern in this district is the safety of our kids, so we had to do it, and it's being done now.
Well, that's fantastic. I know my son's 33 years old, so when he played football at Maury, there was a lighting issue.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been an ongoing thing. So it's great to see that getting taken care of as well. And HVAC, you can't. It's miserable when it's too hot. It's miserable when it's too cold. And one of the biggest complaints that we see from parents is, "Oh, it's too hot in my kid's classroom. It's too cold in my kid's classroom." It's like, well, these schools are not brand new schools.
Right.
So, so it's great to see that you guys are working on that. What about academically? What curriculum wise? Is there something going on this summer that's new that we need to?
This is a social studies adoption year, so we'll be going through the social studies adoption with the state over the course of the next year.
Right.
So the state's really heavy in it until December, January, and then the county picks up options that were vetted by the state, and then we will present something to the board come towards the end of the year as far as social studies adoption. We're really happy with where our testing ended up district-wise.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
You had a great year.
Great last year, great this year.
Record-setting year.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
we're really pleased with where our students and teachers are performing. Very happy with that. So.
Well, and congratulations to you, Dr. Arnold, and to the board, because I will say this, Jefferson County went through a bleak period
Yes.
many years ago, a few years ago, and struggled academically in the state. And you all have really made huge strides. So that is to be commended, and I think everybody needs to be aware of that.
Well, I really, it was really amazing to me when, and I think, I don't know if it was a surprise to Dr. Arnold, but it was sure a surprise to the board. I mean, where we placed among the top 22 districts in a state that has 147 school districts. That means we're the top 14%, all right, of the school districts in the state. Now that's going up the big metropolitan areas, and areas like Oak Ridge and Maryville and ones that are constantly at the top. We're right there, and we are considered now one of the top 3 school districts in East Tennessee. And
that's fantastic.
That is amazing. And Dr. Arnold, his administrators, and especially the teachers, deserve all the credit for that. That's amazing. And I don't know that people realize what a big thing that is for our school district.
Dr. Arnold went to school, and I happen to know when Dr. Arnold went to school. Yeah. Dr. Arnold went to school in Jefferson County when it was like that.
Sure.
Jefferson County was an academic and an athletic powerhouse in across the state, and it had a few rough years, and it is great to see it climbing back to the top.
Yeah,
of the pile.
one thing that we saw coming out this year is our AP exams. So a couple of things. AP exams, students can take those and get college credit. And then whenever your child, if they choose to go to college and they pass 4 AP exams, that's 4 or 5 classes they may not have to take whenever they get to college. And, you know, by the time you credit 21 or more hours, that saves a parent tens of thousands of dollars.
Sure.
And it's free or at a very low cost to the student here. And same thing with our CTE classes. You know, we get certifications. Kids are able to go. I was so surprised with the number of nurses that got their nursing degrees and pursuing that course of action from our high school. Just very pleased with that. But so many options now.
I personally know a child who graduated through one of the CTE programs, and he had come out and went to technical school, but he was so far advanced in his testing that he was there a very short amount of time because he was able to test out of a lot of different things, which put him on the work track, and he made money very quickly after high school. You know, and that's a fantastic thing because ultimately that's the goal, is to get kids in a position where they can make money, they can have a life.
Yeah.
And congratulations. And have you seen that translate to scholarships as far as college scholarships? I know that for a while in Tennessee, it was really hard for our students just across the board in Tennessee to get good academic scholarships.
Yeah.
Is that the case?
Yeah,
now,
we're
or-
seeing, you know, whenever we did our awards day, and
it was
seeing-
amazing.
I mean, the number of scholarships our students are able to receive is awesome. I mean, they can go to Walter State, TCAT for basically free through scholarships now, and
We got scholarships from Vanderbilt, ETSU, you know, University of Tennessee, university colleges up in Kentucky. I mean, it
4 major military
Really?
institutes, and
And I'll tell you this, I don't know whether, I'm sure you all know this, but for example, a scholarship from Vanderbilt means a lot because Vanderbilt gives out scholarships based on regions. And so you have to be competitive in Tennessee in your region, your school does, before they even look at a student for a scholarship, which means Jefferson County Schools is considered one of the most competitive schools.
And we're seeing
good.
here recently in the last few years, schools that we've never had students attend. Duke University, Stanford, coming on the radar and picking up students as scholars and as athletes. So that's a great thing.
That's fantastic. And it's great that as a district, you can provide for a lot of different interests. You can provide for CTE interests. You can provide for college interests.
Yeah.
And a lot of those students do go in with 2 years from Walter State for free and then transfer to a 4-year school. Or they can use their Hope Scholarship money and they can go straight into a 4-year school, and they can actually get a little more money along with it. And then with your AP courses, like you said, it's a big savings. And at the end of the day, the least money you walk out owing, the better off your parents are and you are as you go. So congratulations. Yeah, it's been a banner academic season. in
So many
Jefferson.
positive things, just amazing.
It's a exciting time in Jefferson County right now. The schools projects are exciting. You just settled your budget, which you turned in a balanced budget, so everything is good. We're going to talk for just a second about some goals for the school board, because you do have 3 brand new school board members, and
Yes.
there is a learning curve. I don't care if you're going on to the county commission, if you're going on to the school board, if you're going on to a planning committee, wherever you're landing and you're a decision maker, there are definitely learning times involved in that. Nobody goes in no matter how prepared you think you are. So what are you hoping for this first year out of the school?
Well, we're losing a total of about 35 years of experience where Coach Bradley and Bill Jarnigan have decided to retire for various reasons. So that's a big loss
Yes.
on the school board as far as historical perspective and things like that. But we are getting some very good people on. We're getting Michelle Jeanette, who will be the school board commissioner from District 1, which is my district. She has passed. She has passed educational experience. She was a teacher in the past, so she will kind of replace some of that experience that Coach Bradley had. We have Jim Satterfield, who's also a past CTE teacher, an ag teacher, I believe, who will replace that experience that Josh Cameron had. And we have Mark Fincombe coming on, who is a past educator, who will add that to our board. I'm kind of a business guy. I'm kind of the numbers nerd on the board, budgets and balance sheets and all of that. And of course, Danny Martin will be our senior man. This will be his third term, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably, yes.
Yeah, so this will be his third term, so he'll be our senior man. And then, of course, you have Paul Hardy and Don Mayer, who were elected in the last election term. So we've got a real well-diversified board, but we don't have that past experience.
It's a young board.
It's a young board. Yeah. So, what we're looking at is, from what I've gathered from being the vice chairman in the past couple of years, has been that one of the big things we did in the last 2 years is we have this 5-year comprehensive plan. And that not only steers what Dr. Arnold and his administrators and teachers are trying to achieve, it steers what we on the board, we set it up. So it's up to us to provide the funding, the guidance, and the oversight to get that done. So some of the things that we want to do is we want to obviously make sure that a lot of the projects that we just talked about, the capital improvement funds, the plant improvements to our district, we've started them. We want to make sure those are followed through and get done on time. Right. So we'll be providing a lot of oversight on that. We want to continue, obviously, the momentum that we have academically that we just spoke about. Make sure, it's one thing to gain that, it's another thing to stay there and to progress. And we do have some areas that we're lacking in, and Dr. Arnold, if he wants to, can talk about those. But, there's some areas we're really exceeding, but there are some areas that still need some work. We want to work on those. I think most of those have to do with our middle schools and our attendance. All right, since COVID, it's been tough to get that absentee rate, down and the kids back to school the way they want. Another thing that is staring us in the face that we've got to face, and this is really not my wheelhouse because I'm not a real high-tech person, is artificial intelligence. How is that going to negatively or positively impact the kids? How could we harness that technology to make our kids use it to the best, and our teachers use it to the best potential that we can do it, and minimize the negative effects that can have? And of course, one of my things, and I can't speak for the rest of the board, is I would like to really work on campus discipline. Classroom discipline, campus discipline.
I know that recently you had a special call meeting regarding bullying. And there was, I guess, some policy changes. One of you all want to address that?
Well,
the policy changes.
I was the chairman of the policy committee, or I am the chairman of the policy committee. Obviously, we had that really tragic occurrence up in the northern part of the county that spurred us to say, okay, let's look at things. Some of these policies have been in place for a long time, and unless there's an event or something that kind of forces us to look at them, they kind of stay that way. things evolve, policies have to evolve. So we called a special call policy meeting. And the whole idea was to talk about one policy. That was a 3.5 hour meeting working on one policy, and that was our what we call bullying policy. That's not the title of it, but that's in fact what it was. We came in with 7 pages, where all the school board members, and we invited the public to give us input. They did very measured, very important, very good input at the meeting. We brought all the board members' ideas, we combined it into a big document, and we just went through every time we changed an adjective, every time we changed a phrase. Dr. Arnold was there. We made sure that we didn't, make anything that wasn't enforceable. To me, policies that can't be enforced are worthless, Mm-hmm. We worked through it. We presented it to the board. They approved it. So that's going forward. And there were some really major changes in that. There's some other accompanying policies that coattail on that. Code of conduct. We'll be talking about that. But we need to define what bullying was, what we wanted to get rid of, how we wanted to monitor it before we could go on and look at those other policies that will affect that bullying policy, that will help us impact that. And that's coming down the road. So we're not done on that yet. So that is part of our classroom discipline. Has to do with telephones in school and things like that.
Right. I know that social media is a part of the problem with some of the bullying, and I know that some of it is just the way the world has turned. I mean, COVID changed a lot of things. There are a lot of differences, but parents can rest assured that you all are trying. Sometimes I wonder how much schools can actually do. I mean, there's a finite amount of things that can be done in a school to control bullying, and sometimes it has to come from home as well. So,
It's a partnership.
Hopefully, yes. And as so many things are in education. We're going to we do a little thing on myth busting. And I know that you're social media active, but most of your posts are, and I follow you on social media, so most of your posts are posts that are informative. They're not you don't really engage in a whole lot of debate online. No. And that is not the case with every elected official, including school board members. There are some school board members that are included in that, and there are some elected officials that do that as well. To each his own. That's whatever. But yours are mostly just plain informative. You do answer questions, but not snarky stuff. Just regular normal questions. Jefferson County has a Facebook page as well, where you all put out pertinent information. Yes. That's easily accessible to the public. And we always get all kinds of questions, but I follow a lot of different sites, and we try to debunk some of the myths that are going on. So one of the big myths that we're going to talk about today is that Jefferson County Schools, the Department of Education, is the biggest sucker of property tax dollars in the county. And that is a myth, correct, gentlemen? It is not it is not where the majority of property tax goes in Jefferson County.
I would agree with that. I mean, we receive our fair share, around $12 million of property tax is part of our budget. $8 million of sales tax makes up our budget. Roughly 30% of our budget is county funded. The remainder of 70% comes from the state.
And that is something that a lot of people don't understand. So you get state dollars, you get federal dollars. Mm-hmm. And those monies far exceed the amount of property tax that you all are receiving. Yes. And in fact, property tax, the majority of property tax goes to fund the county government. It does not go just into education. So when it is said that education has an X amount of budget, I think you said $70-some million budget or whatever. Sure. Yeah. That's not coming from property tax dollars. that's coming from a conglomeration of funding, with the heaviest funds coming from state and federal dollars.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
That is one of the biggest myths. So when people are, when they get concerned about building programs. So building programs are not a part of what is considered maintenance of effort. For those people who don't know, maintenance of effort is when the county puts in money into certain funds, education being one of them. However, there are other funds. Highway fund is a maintenance of effort fund. There are other funds in the county that are maintenance of effort funds. When you put in that money, you are not allowed to take it back out. That's your threshold from then on. And so the county is always very careful in how they allocate those property tax dollars to not boost up the maintenance of effort. But things like building programs are not considered a part of maintenance of effort, correct?
Correct.
Right.
So those are capital projects. So if you want to say, oh, well, that's a part of our debt service. Yes, it is part of debt service. It is covered in debt service. However, those who have been following the budget understand that our debt service account is healthy. And they actually moved a couple of pennies out of debt service this time. So the new building programs did not in any way strain Jefferson County.
One of the things that we're really proud of is, I would say, 3/4 of the building projects that have gone on, you know, over the last 6 years, we've spent about $63 million in capital, in maintenance and building projects. And that includes Piedmont, the money that's allocated for Jefferson Elementary, et cetera. The majority, 3/4 of that, came from our budget. We did not go back to the county commission and ask for any more than they originally gave us. That came from our budget, and in the case of Jefferson Elementary, we had one of the biggest partnerships between the county and the school district that I can remember. You know, we knew, based upon them telling us over and over and over again, that they just did not have the money based upon their objectives for us to build a new school. So rather than going and telling them what we wanted and expecting them to give us, we went and asked them, what do you have available that we can use? Then we found the difference within our existing budget, partnered with them, and they did not have to borrow any money. They did not have to raise taxes to provide that to it. It was already in a pool of the debt service fund that wasn't being used because they brought the debt down so much. So, and we're partnering with them on we're building a new garage that maintains school districts, EMT vehicles. They asked us for some money. In our budget, we had it. We gave it to them. So we are doing a lot more partnering with the county commission, which is saving people in this county a lot of money because we're not borrowing and throwing interest that does nothing for anybody away on debt anymore.
And that's fantastic. One of the things that I think is the biggest myth is that education is a drain on Jefferson County. Education is an important factor in the survival of Jefferson County. It's an investment of Jefferson County, but it is not the most expensive investment like people think. It is a reasonable amount of money. You all have been good stewards of the money, and as you can see, the results have been great. Well, I mean, Jefferson County is, and I'm very proud to say that Jefferson County is really on the rise as far as education goes, and that is a really, really great thing.
And if I can make one thing, Dr. Arnold, you know, I'm a businessman. That's my thing. I don't purport to be an educator. I'm a businessman, and I have to say, in my years of white-collar business, Dr. Arnold is exceptional at budgeting, at making sure we get every penny out of every dollar that we want. When he brings us proposals, they're well thought out. You know, we obviously debate them. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. But by and large, he and his administration have done a wonderful job in maintaining our budget to the point where, as long as I've been on this school board, we've had a balanced budget.
It is a good day in Jefferson County. I'm glad to be able to say that. This is a good summer. It's a summer of progress.
Yes.
You're running toward first day of school, as we said. Its first day of school is
August the 5th is the first abbreviated day. I tried to move away from those abbreviated days. 4 years ago was the major storms that we had the first day of school. 25 roads shut down in the county. We don't know where kids live, so we went back to abbreviated days. So that gives us time for parents to walk in with their kids, to see their room, to learn who they are, how they're getting home, and then we have election day on the 6th, and the 7th is the first full day of school.
so that's a big week, and
It is.
and we're running toward it. And teachers are back end of July.
Yes,
right?
July 30th is the day teachers come back.
And so all those teachers out there, get your summers in, because it's coming at the
It's
end of the month. Wow, it's racing toward us. We will be back, hopefully, with Dr. Arnold right around the time school starts, with your staff, so you can introduce, give a face to a name, and let people kind of know what those first few days of the school year were going to look like, as far as buses and this and that and the other thing. It's a good informational time for parents. I thank both of you gentlemen for sitting down. I hope this is not the last time. Good luck on your election, although I'm pretty sure you're going to win. And thank you, Dr. Arnold,
Thank you.
and congratulations. And thanks to our sponsors, Dr. Warren Stinson. He's at 113 East Broadway in Jefferson City. And he's great for all your dental needs. And Good Old Boys Golf Carts. It is time to play golf, folks. They are at Highway 92 in Dandridge and in Sevierville. And they have some really beautiful product there. So if keep it local. And these guys love those local sales tax, because they help fund education. So everybody, thanks a lot. We will see you back hopefully soon. And have fun for the rest of your summer.
Thank you.